Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of my HTML series. And today I'll be showing you how to add some structure to your website. So we're gonna be working with div and we're going to be working with span. And there's a difference between these two, which I will explain. So let's start with div. So when we have a div, we can store items inside of it. A h2, like this is the title of the div, and then we can add a text into the text of the div. And when we save this, Control S, you're gonna see that they are on different rows, and you might think, oh, they're not even combined, they're still not structured together. But if we go into the div and we use a styling, which would normally be used in CSS, but we'll be using it right here to show the difference between these two. So here you see that the div takes all this space. It goes all the way to the end of the screen, and both of these elements are in the same box. And this is very good because later on you might want to customize a whole box, so then everything inside of the box becomes one way. So you want to structure a lot of things inside of boxes, also called divs in this case. And also, if you have another div, say we make another div, and then we copy paste this, and all we do is title of div2 and div2, boom. And also we should actually add a background so we can see it again. So style of background color, light blue, boom. You can see there's a gap between them. That's because every time you make a div, there's going to be space below it. And also the div is always going to take as much space as possible to the right of it. So it's always going to extend far, far away. As we can see here, there's a lot of empty space to the right. And if you use a span instead, let's move on to span, because that's basically how div works. You put things inside of them, they take as much space as possible. They make a new row when you have them next to each other, below each other. So when you create a new one, it goes below with a space. But if you use a span, it's a bit different. First of all, you don't really want to use a p tag like this inside of it, because it breaks at that point. Instead, we want to use a just raw text inside of here, which is maybe like this is a span, and boom, you can see this is a span. That's not that crazy. But if we add another span below this, and we call it this is also a span, you're gonna first notice that they're first of all on the same row, but also, let's say we put this to color, we can see light coral. Let's do this, and then we can see that the span takes only this much space. It doesn't go all the way to the end. And if we add this, it's going to be even more visual, because now we're going to put the same color on both our spans. And now it looks like one big one, but that's just because the span, it takes as little space as possible instead. So it puts like spans next to each other. It's instead going to be a row than a column. If you have divs, it's going to build a column, but if you have spans, it's going to be a bigger row. But there's a catch with this, because when you want to have multiple elements, you don't necessarily use span too much. Span actually has a different use case, because div is best for sorting items. Instead, you could have a p tag, and you can have some text in it. If you write lorem and then tab, you get lorem ipsum. And we really like this word, elite. So we put a span inside of here, and then we put our text we want to change into here. And when we save, it's gonna look like the normal text. But since we span this part out, it allows us to actually edit this part by doing maybe style equals background color. Let's make this blanche almond, and boom, we actually added a difference to this part of the text. And we can do bigger parts. We can do this whole beginning, the dollar thing. It's gonna be a bit span. Oh, I might do it like this when I do it like that. And then we put the entire thing before the other word. We put everything inside of this span. I actually accidentally searched. Boom, and then we add a style. Oh, actually, I went back by accident. Let's do this again. There we go. And we add a background, oh, style, not background color, and we make this one aqua. Boom! Now this entire part of the text is colored. And you can do a lot more than just adding the background color. You can change the color of the text, you can highlight, you can add it to big code. But span is more to organize inside of different tags, while divs is more to organize the actual tags together, so like categorize them. And you could also add a link inside of a span, so if you want a specific word to be a link inside of a p tag, instead of making a whole new link, you could do that as well. It allows you to add things inside of other tags that you otherwise wouldn't be able to add. But it's not a primary thing to like put things together, because you want to use div for that. And that's all for this episode. But in the next episode, I'll continue talking about divs, but there is a more modern version of using divs, which are divs themselves, but it's a bit different. I mean, there's not really any difference, but you just have different names for them to help the people watching your code understand it. But that's all, so see you in the next one.